Dear participants, this is the 21st session of National Workshop on Research Methodologies in Geography. And today we have Dr. Abhijit Pore, and he will deliver a lecture on research techniques in population geography. Pore sir, on behalf of all the collaborating institutions and on behalf of all the participants, I welcome you for this national workshop on research methodologies in geography. It is indeed great pleasure to introduce Dr. Abhijit Pore sir. Dr. Abhijit Pore is working as an assistant professor in the Department of Geography, Chhatrapati Shivaji College, Satara. He has teaching experience of almost 11 years. He has completed his doctoral research work in the area of settlement geography, and the title of his PhD research work was a geographical study of rural settlements in Kolhapur district, and he has completed his PhD from Solapur University. Also, he has worked or he has contributed as a resource person in the various national and international workshops, seminars and conferences. He has published a book on rural housing in Solapur district with special reference to Pandharpur Tehsil. At present, 43 research publications are at the credit of Dr. Pore, and he presented research papers in 69 conferences, seminars, etc. He is a member of Curriculum Design and Development for Travel and Tourism course, Department of Lifelong Learning and Extension of Shivaji University, Kolhapur. Also, he is a member of Board of Studies, Karmveer Bhaurao Patil College, Pandharpur and Chhatrapati Shivaji College, Satara. He contributed as an editor and co-editor for the publication of books and proceedings. With this very brief introduction, I would like to invite Dr. Pore sir. Sir, please elaborate, enlighten to all the participants with your resourceful deliberations. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Please continue.
Thank you, sir. First of all, at the very outset, let me thank to Dr. Sardar Patil, sir, to give me an opportunity to this national workshop on research methodology in geography, which has been organized by the collaboration of, I think, 5 colleges. Our college is also one of that collaborating institute. The work assigned by Dr. Patil to me is research techniques in population geography. Sir, let me share you all know that the geography, basic questions of geography is what is there, where it is, how it is changing over time, means the dynamics of the phenomena. What will be the like in the future? The prediction of the phenomena of human being and natural phenomena as well. Then what should be like? What should it like this? These kind of questions have been asked by the geography, and population geography is mainly focused on the place-based population. There are 3 primary themes of geography, which these 3 primary themes have been covered by the population geography. As rightly stated by the Trivartha, population is apex point of the geography. No doubt there is a cultural earth and the physical earth, but population is one kind of the cream are showing how the cultural earth and physical earth has been interrelating with each other. And the comprehensive study of the people and places is the main subject matter of the population geography. And how it develops, Glenn Tiwartha is one of the pioneers. Then the mobility transition model has put the revolution in the population geography in the year 1971. Then some population geographers focus on the or predicting the what should be the population or what should be the future population, what should be the future characteristics of the population, whether it is mortality, fertility, what should be the trend, migration trend. All these population characteristics, the prediction or the projection of these population characteristics was the main subject matter of the population geography. We all researchers suppose that the population is a very easy subject. Data is very easily available to us regarding the population. But though the data is very easily available, there are some lacunas in data also. There are some, though all geographers or all researchers of geography are focusing or easily attracting to this discipline, population geography, but there should be the social theory and relation between the population phenomena. And what is that relationship? That should be also addressed by the researcher. There are various research gaps in population geography also.
Sir, you are not audible, I think. Pore sir. Mani Deshmukh sir.
Various statistical techniques also. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, audible, sir.
As far as the population geography in India is concerned, it was Ghosal who firstly introduced and put the direction of the population geography in India. Chandigarh at Punjab University is one of the biggest center who studied and going to the research in population geography. And the countries like India are also focusing on the population geography. And the conclusions and the methodology applied in the Indian geography, Indian population geography, can also implemented in the developing and undeveloped countries. Population geography of India as the census of India has much contribution in the population geography.
धनश्री माने शेअरिंग चालू केले, बंद करा. स्क्रीन शेअरिंग बंद करा.
The census of India gives the reliable and variety scales of data at very micro level, at village level, and that is why there is a much development in the population geography of India. Recent doctoral research are focused on the locational situations of the population.
Pore sir.
Yeah.
You stop your sharing and restart.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I think now my
Yeah. Now
visible.
it is.
Yes.
Now it is visible.
Yes. Now I am moving to the next point, that is what is the significance of population geography. I say as earlier that the significance of a population geography is attracting to the researcher, and a lot of researchers are attracting and doing the research in the field of population. Data is easily available, but still there are various research gap also, and there is need to study at a very micro level and what is the exact cause of the population phenomena. We have to investigate, and there are various points which are useful to the human well-being. Because the population geography gives an idea about the evolution of the population or evolution of the people's idea and places and environment also. It gives an idea how the spatial organization of the society is going on. In this regard, we can, by the population geography, we can forecast the various population phenomena. We can provide the various threats, the scenario, future scenario of the socio-economic development by the study of population. The investigations into the population as far as the gender and age structure is concerned, it is also become more and more relevant educational and health and other infrastructure. This kind of the study of gender and age structure is very useful. The study of life expectancy and the population ages is in need of time, because the demographic dividend is changing and how the population aging is becoming the social problem. Population geography studied the mortality, and mortality is related to the health, how the growing numbers of death by the specific causes or specific diseases. What is the cancer-induced condition? What is the condition due to the COVID-19? The geographical and social environments, socioeconomic environment affects on the mortality. Then one of the important issue of the population geography is the migration. There are various factors or various impact of the migration. Demographic factors, social factors, economic factors. By the examination of the scale of migration should become an urgent and important goal of geographic research, because the changes affecting on the gender and age structure. Migration affects the gender and age structure. It affects the occupational structure. It gives in its impact on both rural and urban sectors. Then the separation of family from the family members is one of the impact of the migration. Deferred marriages. We all know that there are various economic impact of the migration also. The population geography, without consideration of the population, the administratives, the economists, planners, policymakers cannot give their plan. And that is why the study of population geography is very much important. And what are the research areas in the population geography? I put here some important research areas of the population geography. Basically, the population geography focus on the global population growth, size distribution, what is the population composition, what is its structure, and what are the population dynamics. But the growth and distribution of population should be studied by the researcher at very micro scale and with the regional and temporal aspects. Researchers should identify the actual affecting factors by the empirical approach. Population projection should also more realistic views and with the sound methodology. There is a lack of the sound methodology in the population projection, in fact. And as far as the fertility and mortality is concerned, the consideration of the society and economy on this fertility and mortality need to be addressed. Then the population and health, environmental nexus, human environmental sustainability, socio-economic development according to the infrastructure, education, health, economy, and housing. That is one kind of the major area, research area of the population geography. We should focus on the inclusive development, because development is process, but there are some sections which are lagging behind in the process of the development. And what is the actual socio-economic condition of these lagging behind sections can be studied by the study of the population geography. That is why we should focus on the special sections like the gender issue, urban and rural scenario, tribal people, slums, labor force, poverty issues. These are some research areas of the population geography. And this is the one kind of the research methodology flow of the geography in general and population geography in special. Designing the inquiry is one kind of the important factor of the population geography. Topic must be large enough to permit the good investigation. Once we design the topic, then we should go ahead to the research process. Both primary and secondary methods of the data collection should apply. Then the presentation of that analysis, then discussion on that results. And then last, finally, how through was your research or where the methods used is appropriate or not, where the findings are appropriate or not, are the findings are realistic, that should be studied in the population geography. There are three methods or three steps of the study of the population geography. One, the problem. One should study the problem oriented with the problem oriented approach. Then what is the process of population characteristics, that should also study. On what would be the characteristics that progenesis approach would be applied by the researcher. There are various full range of the methods: empirical description, mapping, numerical modeling, prediction, critical socioeconomic and political and cultural analysis. This kind of the methods should apply by the researcher. Detailed interpretive understanding, policy focused scrutiny, whatever the governmental policy, what is that impact of that policy, that should also address by the population geographer. The methods of population geography become multilingual. It is not one particular method, that is a mixed method. Mixed method means it is the mixture of various methods. And what is the importance of this mixed method? Because the mixed method is the vehicle to develop the primer and to debate the multi-method research. As far as the methodological innovation is concerned, it is the population geography who welcome the methodological innovation in the data visualization, mapping, and spatial analytics. There is one kind of the approach in the population geography because the elements of the population are very much interconnected. It is like the brain system. Hello? It is like the brain system of human being. So the one kind of the approach is a neural network or synthetic analysis of the population geography, which can solve the practical problems and also can address the complicated problems, because the complicated problem can clarify by the neural networks approach. And now the recent aid, that is a geographical information system, we can analyze the large amount of data, preparing, processing, interpreting, and presenting data in the population geography. What is that the large amount of data? In the major data of the population is through the secondary sources like the census. Census is the main source of population data, not only in India, but in worldwide also. Census is complete enumeration. It gives the data of the age, sex, or the location or socioeconomic structure. Census of India having two kinds of the data. It compiles the data from each member of household and the house listing operations also. So the data compiled by the census is very much important. When we ask them such kind of the data at a very micro level, Census of India can provide the data at very micro level also. Civil registration system is another source of the secondary data in the population geography, because the vital event should be registered as per as the birth, death and marriages to the local authorities. That data has been finally then compiled and sent to the vital statistical division, that is Office for the Registrar and General Census Commissioner, for the tabulation and publishing. At village level, village authorities, panchayats work on this compilation of the registration system. There are various sample surveys also. In sample surveys, the data is collected from the few members and it is applied to the total population. For finding the fertility, mortality and growth, it is an alternative to the full enumeration, because the census gives data of the 10-year intervals and mid-census years data is given by the sample survey. Sampling have some the lacunas also and some benefits of the sample data. That is why the sample should be the specific, but it has no doubt the margin of error also. But the sample data is cheaper and it is covering the entire, it not cover the entire population. The sample survey can also held with a short time interval. That is why it is important. As far as India's National Sample Survey, NSS, is concerned, there are various rounds of NSSO also. In the social and economical aspects of the Indian economy have been studied by this NSS. There are international sources of the population data, UNDP, UNESCO, Yearbook of the Labor Statistics, that is ILO. WHO also provide the demographic data. There are various administrative records maintained by the offices. The various reports on the social, economical and governmental reports, global reports are useful and good source of the secondary data. Is there any scope of the primary compilation of the data in the field of the population geography? Because all data is easily available in population geography and with the secondary sources. But yes, there is a scope of the compilation of the primary source, compilation of the data from the primary sources. Because before starting the study, pilot study is very much important. Then whatever the results find by the researcher should verify by the field work. Secondary data give an idea about the results, but what are the affecting factors of the population phenomena can easily identify by the primary source. For example, suppose there is a high sex ratio, females are more than the male in some villages, but it not indicate there is very much socio-economic development and the village is socially aware. It could be the family is waiting for the male baby, a baby boy also, and that is why the birth of the baby girl is increasing and they are waiting for the baby boy. And that is why the child, as per the child sex ratio, the girls are more than the boys. That should be identified the field work through the primary sources. And there are some lacunas of the secondary sources that should be rectified by the primary sources. We can generate the micro level data on the less focused aspects also. And what is the real time data can be generated by the primary sources in the population geography. I will focus on the very important and highlighted points of the population geography. First, that is the population growth. We all know that the population growth is very much important because every increased population creates more people to reproduce. And as the increase in population, it results in more increase in population. So growth rate can identify at global level by simply birth, by taking account of the birth and death. But as far as the local level, the growth rate is studied by birth, death, and migration also. What is the movement of the people that should be considered in the local situation? So growth rate is equal to birth minus death plus the balance of the migration. There are various methods to calculate the birth rate, growth rate of the population. Population growth rate is equal to population of the time 2 minus population of time 1 divided by the starting population into 100. It is calculated by dividing the number of people adding in a year. It is a natural increase plus the net migration. Then the population growth, there is a crude rate of the natural increase, CRINI. It permits the measurements of the change in population size per 1,000 persons. This rate shows the balance of birth and death. It does not include the effect of the migration, CRINI, crude rate of the natural increase. We can focus on the affecting factors of the population growth. Which factors are affected on the population growth? Whether it is surplus or decline in the population. Then we can understand the problems arises due to the population increase. Which problems are arising due to the population increase that should be studied. The study of the population growth gives us the historical view, how the peoples are growing and how the historical socioeconomic condition affects on the growth rate of the population. Population pressure may come from the lack of resources to feed the house and provide the services. Illness, war, lack of space. The pressure can be revealed with the migration. Migration is one of the measures to reveal the pressure. As far as the population projection is concerned, according to UN, population projection are the calculation which show the future course of fertility, mortality, and migration. It is nothing but the best guess what the population should be in future. Best guess calculation of the number of people expected to be alive at a future date based on assumptions about the population size, present population size, birth, deaths, and migration. But it always in conditional future. Because if the size of population, birth rate, death rate, and migration process remains same, what would be the population in future? But this kind of the population projection is very much useful for planning purpose, for accessing the new jobs, teacher. What is the future number of school, doctors, nurses, urban housing, food? The planning of these factors can be done by the very easy by the population projection. The pace of urbanization can also identify the population projection. The policy dialogue helping the policy makers to understand the problem exists in the developing solutions. For the planning of adequate investment, the study of population projection is very much important. To develop the demographic theory, the study of population projection is also needed. Because by the population projection, what will be the demographic transaction that can be identified? There are three types of the population projections: total projections, regional projection, high, medium, and low projections of the population. And the population projection can be identified by various methods. S-shaped logistic curve is very much popular to project the population, which is actually S-shape means the firstly initially the growth rate of the population is slower, then it become a faster rate, and then again become the slower rate. That is the S-shaped logistic curve. Arithmetic method means the annual change remains the same throughout the projection period. There is no any change between the growth rate. And as far as the geometric method is concerned, geometric methods is nothing but the consideration of the population projection as per the recent census annual rate of the increase or the decrease of the population and number of years. Growth component methods means the summation of all components. Say it is a birth, death, and the migration by the age and sex groups. That should be considered. And the projected population is estimated by their summation. This is a growth component method. These are the methods of the population projection. And population projections is very much popular research topic or research areas. And still there is a lack of sound methodology to project the population. And there are very much criticism on the quantitative techniques of the population projections. So the methodological innovation is needed to project the population. Then as far as the growth and projection of the population is concerned, fertility is a challenging study area in the field of population geography. Because there is a fertility affects on the dynamics of the population, not only the dynamics of the population, but also the age and sex structure of the population. Here I give some common sources to finding the fertility. National Fertility Survey. The data can be generated through the Demographic and Health Surveys. Center for Diseases Control and Prevention. Reproductive Health Survey. Population Reference Bureau. World Population Data Sheet. World Bank's World Development Indicators. These are the major data sources of the fertility. But as far as the village level, tehsil level data is still not available. We can calculate various indicators of the fertility. The crude birth rate, it is nothing but the number of live births per 1,000 persons in a given year. That is one kind of the important indicators to study the fertility. We can study the age-specific fertility rate, ASFR. It is the number of births occurring annually per 1,000 women of a specific age. And it is usually given in a 5 years age group. Age-specific fertility rate is given in a 5-year age groups, dividing the number of children born to the mothers in a given age group by the number of women in that age group, multiply by the 1,000. That is the age-specific fertility rate. And this age-specific fertility rate is more precise than other measures because we consider the all age groups, but it requires more data about the birth by age of the mother and distribution of the population by age and sex. So the data availability is an issue to study the age-specific fertility rate, especially at micro level. The total fertility rate, TFR, can calculate, it is an approximate number of births that a woman will have if she moves through her reproductive years having birth at a current age-specific birth rate. So the current age-specific birth rate should consider to identify the TFR because it is a sum of the age-specific birth rate multiplied by the 5 because for the calculation of age specific fertility rate, the 5 years group has been considered. Then as far as the fertility study is concerned, replacement level fertility is one of the important indicator to study the fertility, because it gives the data regarding or idea regarding the number of birth required to replace the parents, both mother and father of the family. If no children died before reaching its adulthood or replacement level of fertility, it would give the 2 births per woman, one to replace the mother and one to replace her husband. If the death rate are low, replacement level is the it could be the good, but children will survive to reach its reproductive age in the replacement level of the fertility. So it gives an idea that how the health factors affecting on the new birth child. The next indicator to study the fertility is the sex ratio at birth. It is measured as the number of male births per 100 female births. This is also input of demographic projection model, because sex ratio at birth gives an idea about what would be the future population. One can study the cause and effect of the fertility. What are the causes of this fertility indices, and what is the effect of the fertility on various demographic aspects? That should be studied. Child-woman ratio is one kind of the indicator. Then the study of marriages, that is the mean age of marriage, singulate mean age of marriage, SMAM, is one kind of the indicator to study the marriage and to study the fertility also. And then what is the social situation of divorce, widowhood? Marriage squeeze is one of the issue of the society and how it affects on the population aspects. That should be studied in the fertility. Then next point, that is the mortality. To study of the mortality, there are 2 types of the mortality. Mortality is a very much good indicator to study the health status of the any region. Endogenetic mortality and exogenetic mortality are the 2 types of the mortality, because the death due to the old age is called as the endogenetic mortality, and the death which are not caused by the old age are coming into the exogenetic mortality. As far as the mortality is concerned, crude death rate, CDR, is very much popular and calculated by the researchers in the field of population geography. The number of deaths in a given year per 1,000 people in the population in the middle of that year. That is the CDR. But one more index, that is vital index, one may call it pulse vital index. It is nothing but the ratio between the birth and death. This index gives an idea about the social and health status of the society. When this pulse vital index is below 1, population is regarding as having the good medical care. But when it is above 1, population is not holding the health status or health condition is very much poor of that region. That should be concluded by the researcher. So to study the health status, the vital index or pulse vital index is very much useful. Then next indicator, that is infant mortality rate. We know who is infant, deaths of the children under 1 year of his age per 1,000, it is calculated by the per 1,000 live births. Then the under 5 mortality rate, U5MR. This is also because the risk age of the death is not only the below 1, but is under 5 also. One of the also the risk event, especially for the woman, is the maternal mortality ratio, MMR, the number of women who died due to the pregnancy and childbirth complications. It is calculated as per as the live birth in a given year by considering the live birth. The study of mortality is very much important because it gives us one of the very useful indicators, that is life expectancy at birth. Life expectancy at birth is nothing but the average number of years a new infant can expect to live. And how it is calculated? It is calculated on the basis of the current mortality condition. It is a useful measure to summarize the implications of the current age-specific mortality pattern. It is one of the indicator of the Human Development Index also. So life expectancy is very much important. Then the age-specific mortality rate, to calculate the mortality rates by age, demographics generally use the concept which refers to all peoples born during the same calendar year. So what is the risk age? We can identify the risk age, and that is why the age-specific mortality rate is very much important, because we observe that there are some young generation also died at a very much particular age. There are various causes like cancer, blood pressure, heart attacks. These kind of the problems, health problems faced by the specific age, and that is why the age specific mortality rate is very much important. Then another mortality indicator is to generate the life tables. And life table give an idea what would happen to a new birth, because life table give the distribution of death that would occur within an age group, and it gives the values for the life expectancy also. So study of the mortality is also need to address in the population geography. Then another factor, another dynamics of the population change after the fertility and mortality is the migration. Migration is very much, or is more difficult to measure than the fertility and mortality. And as far as the Indian definition of the migration is concerned, UNSSO defines the migration as the last usual place of the residence. And census focus on when he has stayed continuously for the period of the 6 months or more. So there are, as per as the definition of migration, then the data of the migration, study of migration is difficult than the fertility and the mortality. There are various indicators of them to study the migration. And there are various sources. There are two major sources: UNSSO, periodic labor force survey by the UNSSO is the main data source of the migration, and it is the inter-census year, mid-census years. UNSSO is useful for the researcher. Census of India gives the migration tables. There are 13 tables, D1 to D13 tables. And it gives the data related to the number of migrants by place of the birth. Then 0 to 9 years of the residence is considered. The data is generated by the interstate, intrastate, rural, urban, inter-district also. Migration by age by sex, migration by marital status, what is the duration of the residence, what are the reasons of the migration. And Census of India identify the data, that is the reasons of the migration are work or employment, business, education, marriages, moved after the birth, moved with the household, and other causes of the migration that have been considered by the Census of India. Excuse me, give me 1 minute. And the indicators of the migration are the net migration, moved in, the moved out, balance of this is called as a net migration. And what is the age and sex pattern of that migration? It should be vary, and it should be studied by the population geographers. What are the impacts of the migration? Impact on source, destination, and on the migrants also. Social impacts, political impacts. What is the impact on a language pattern? What is the impact on an economy of that region? What is the impact on the age and sex distribution of the source region and destination region? What is the relationship between the migration and poverty? So various statistical techniques can be used to study the impact of the migration, and I consider various studies, that is the trends and pattern of internal migration in India from 1971 to 2001 by Bhagat. Then Bhattacharya also focused on the analysis of the rural to rural migration in India. And another study is the internal migration in India. Are the underclass or more mobile? These studies are very much important to identify the research methodology in the investigation of the migration. Then another aspect, that is the distribution of population. Distribution of the population, distribution can be studied by identifying the population size of the villages, size of the towns. Distribution is locational. What is the dispersion pattern? And the proportional indicator is the population density. There are various cartographic techniques to study the to present the distributional pattern of the population. And as far as the geographical information system is concerned, IDW, inverse distance weighted, is one of the useful indicator to study the spatial distribution. It gives the raster data. Then the density choropleth maps or other dot map, these kind of the cartographic techniques are useful. Cartogram, because size of the region according to the population gives an idea by the cartogram. It is one of the cartographic techniques to study the distribution of population. Then by considering the proportion of the land, chi-square method, what should be the population? That means the observed and expected population according to the area of that administrative division can be studied by the chi-square method. What are the dynamics of the distribution? And what is the distribution of population at micro level that should be considered by the researcher in the population geography? And this distribution pattern can be correlated with the affecting factors and should verify by the field work. Various GIS techniques can use to to study the distributional pattern of the population. Next component, that is the age-sex distribution. Age-sex distribution is the economic and cultural life of the society critically depend upon the age and sex structure of the population. We can study the age and sex distribution by population pyramid. A great deal of information can be read from the population pyramid. Many population characteristics vary significantly with the different ages, with different gender. As gender and age changes, the population characteristics also changes. Demographic dynamics should correlate with the age and sex distribution of the population. And as far as the study of age structure is concerned, percent distribution is important. What is the median age of the population? Everyone called that is the demographic dividend. What is the concentration or median age of the population is much important for the marketing purpose also, to implement the plan also, to give the vaccination also. What is the population below 18? What is the population above 60, 18 to 45, 45 to 60, that have been considered, and region-wise variation in that population has been considered as far as the availability of the primary health center is concerned to the vaccination camp. Then the aging of the population is an issue to some society. Dependency ratio, it is the number of people aged 0 to 14 and aged after 16 or over, dividing by the number of people aged 15 to 16. But there are two types of the dependency ratio, youth dependency ratio, that is called as a YDR, and old age dependency ratio, old age DR, or ADR, or aged DR. These are two types of the dependency ratio that should be studied. Socio-economic implications of the age and sex structure should be focused by the population geographers. And this kind of the age data is noticeable when the cross-classified with the variables. That is, how this age data is affecting on the population attainment, educational attainment, marital status, and age data. That relation is also one of the important relationship. Economic activity have been affected by the age data. That should be studied. The marital status, age at marriage, age, sex, and migration, mortality, females, that should be studied in the age, sex distribution. Then I will focus on three indicators, that is the educational, health, and the economic indicators of the population. The population aspects and the educational profile. What is the relationship between the population aspects and educational profile? To study the educational profile of any region, the consideration of the dynamics of population is very much important. It's very much important. And that is why the cause and effect, education is a cause and effect of the demographic process. Whatever the demographic characteristics of the region can be affected by the education, and these demographic factors affect on education itself also. Education is nothing but the welfare of the population, and the quantitative analysis and qualitative analysis of the education cannot be complete without the consideration of the population, because number of birth is nothing but the future number of the students. And by considering the number of birth, we can plan the educational system, educational infrastructure of the region. Internal migration and rural-urban scenario, as far as the educational profile is concerned, is also one of the important issues. Because internal migration may cause, and it can be drop in the rural population. In such cases, the students in rural school will decline. By the migration, students in the rural school will decline, and it will give trace on the schools of the urban areas. So the consideration of the migration is important. And in the study of educational profile by demographic aspects, there are various sources of data. No doubt Census of India is one of the great source of the educational data, but All India Educational Survey, socioeconomic abstracts, and various published reports, governmental reports, are the main sources of educational data. And there are two major indicators to study the educational status. One, that is the literacy rate, and another is the enrollment rate. Literacy rate is in general, and in particular enrollment rate also give an idea about the educational profile of the region. What are the changes and what is the distribution of the literacy rate? That should be studied. What are the difference in the literacy rate according to the rural and urban pattern? Male and female literacy rate. What is the condition of adult literacy rate? In India, it is considered after 50. What is the situation of tribal literacy rate? What is the literacy rate in the slum area? We can study the literacy rate at village level also. And what are the age and sex complications or composition of the illiterate? Number of illiterate, and to identify the regions where the number of illiterate population is high, and should focus on an educational policy on that particular regions. Another indicator, that is the enrollment rate. There are various types of the enrollment rate. School enrollment rate, which the what proportion of children receive an education. But that should be identified by the gross enrollment ratio. And gross enrollment ratio, GER, is nothing but the ratio of total number of enrolled at a given educational level to the age group of the corresponding to the official age of that level. But there are some lacunas of the gross enrollment ratio. So another indicator to study the enrollment ratio is the net enrollment rate. It is nothing but the number of students in 6 to 10 years of age in primary education divided by the total 6 to 10 years old population, multiply by the 100. That NER is more specific to study the enrollment rate. And the age specific enrollment ratio is more precise. Then there are various indicators of the educational indicators to study the population. I give the list of the indicators, educational indicators. Gross admission rate, ratio between the new admissions and the above 6-year-old population. Dropout rate, what is the admission and what is the dropout in the educational process. Educational attainment, because the primary, secondary level wise enrollment rate has been calculated in educational attainment. What is the pupil teacher ratio? And though there is a good gross admission ratio, but what is the attendance rate? It is also one of the important indicator. And attendance rate is calculated in relation to the number of school working days and children actually attended in a class. And we can identify the out of school children by studying the attendance rate. Then another indicator, that is the transaction rate. Transaction rate gives an idea that input per graduate, and we can identify the wastage ratio also, because the input per graduate is nothing but the proportion of the total students year invested and number of graduate. And to proportionate it with the ideal input output ratio, we can identify the wastage ratio. Then what is the expenditure on adult and continuing education to the total educational expenditure? That data has been collected by the Department of Education, Ministry of Human Resource Development of Government of India in annual statistics. Villages without the pre-primary education facility should be focused, and that data has been compiled by the NCERT. Habitation village having the primary schools with the facility within 1 kilometer, that those villages or those families could be studied. Number of primary schools, percentage of primary schools having drinking water and toilets, single teacher primary schools. Then we can identify one of the important section of the society, that is disabled children, and what is the enrollment ratio of that disabled children, what is the number of schools for the disabled children also. Then what is the household expenditure on education? That is one of the important criteria to study the educational profile. Next aspect, that is the health profile of the society, is because the family welfare service statistic, operational research techniques, ORT in evaluation, fertility impact, family planning program, reproductive health, health infrastructure are the important sources to study the health profile of the any region with the demographic aspect. And this is a health information system which gives the data from the vital registrations, facility provider surveys, household surveys, spatial studies, various agencies studied and generate the data. There are another information system, that is the mortality information system and birth registration system, that could also give the very rich data to study the health profile of any region. And these are the indicators. The indicators have been classified into 4, that is the mortality indicators, nutritional indicators, disability indicators, and healthcare delivery indicators. Mortality indicators have been already discussed with you. That is the CDR, age-specific death rate, stillbirth rate, under 5 mortality rate, infant mortality rate. But the nutritional indicators are also important because as far as the immunity is concerned, the nutrition is one of the important. What is the number of malnutrited population? Malnutrition in remote region. What is the condition of nutritional intake, body mass index, to identify the underweight and overweight population? What is the weight, length, and at the time of the birth of child? That should be studied. And the disability rate, that is identified by the disability period, bed rest period. That is one of the important indicator of the health study. And another, that is public health care infrastructural studies. What is the ratio between the PSC and the population? Ratio of the hospital beds and the population. Proportion of the doctors to the population. That is also one of the considerations to study the health aspects. I will move another aspects to study the occupational and work data, workforce data, and what is the relationship between the demographic characteristics. There are various sources. As far as the Census of India is concerned, recently it gives the 4-fold data, and previously it was given the 9 categorical data on the occupational structure. But another important source, that is PFELS, Periodic Labor Force Survey of India. NSS also gave the estimates on the workforce data. And what are the indicators or the research area to study the occupational and workforce structure of the region are workforce by the sex and age group, their literacy. Workforce can be studied by the sex, workforce can be studied by the age groups, and workforce can be studied by the literacy. So the relationship between the sex, age, and literacy with the workforce can identify. Growth of population and workforce. How the workforce is growing and the population is growing. That relationship also one of the important. One of the ratio, that is WPR, work participation rate, can calculate to study the workforce. Occupational distribution, how the occupational distribution is changing. and how it is differentiated in the rural and urban areas. What are the gender aspects of the occupational distribution? Are the females are increasing in the secondary activities? That should be addressed. And finally, I come to the Human Development Index. It is a composite indicator of the income, education, and health, which have been discussed. These three indicators have been discussed previously by me. And there are two methods, popular methods we know, that is the UNDP method. It considers the life expectancy, educational attainment, and GDP per capita index. And by giving the equal weightage to these three indicators, the HDI by the UNDP methods has been calculated. I will not give much time to this method also. And another method, that is India's Population Commission method, measurement of the HDI, India's Human Development Survey, IHDS, give the data regarding the Human Development Index. The National Human Development Reports, NHDR, prepared by the Planning Commission of India, is an attempt to map the state-wise Human Development Index of India. In HDI by the India, there are also three components. There are various indicators, and it is also given to these components and calculated the HDI of that particular region. Another important aspect of the population, that the consideration of the housing profile. Great amount of the data has been generated by the Census of India on the housing profile of the region. Table on the houses, household amenities and assets with a series of 28 by the Census of India is main source. Socio-economic review, district statistical abstract should also consider. And what issues should study as far as the housing profile of the region is concerned? What is the situation of the rural and urban housing? That should be studied. Growth in the housing, how the population growth is going on, and how the growth in housing is also going on. What is the density of the houses to quarantine or to study the health indicators? The density of houses is important. Size of houses give an idea about the economical status of the population. Ownership of houses, whether it is a rental or own or other ownership. What is the occupancy rate of the houses? This is also one of the great indicators to study the housing status. Because occupancy rate is the number of persons per household. And another kind of the data is a building material. Data on a building material. Building material used for the wall, roof and floor of the house. That data has been given by the Census of India in every 10 years. And whatever the facilities and assets like the drinking water, drainage, latrine, separate bathroom, electricity, or separate kitchen, telephone, vehicles, that data has been given, and that should be studied, whatever the facilities available, because it is important to identify the social and economical status of the any household, and that is why that should be focused. And as far as the type of the fuel is concerned, fuel for the cooking, the separate kitchen, that should be also studied. Now, what is the impact of housing schemes? That must be addressed by the researcher. We can focus on the houseless families also. What is the number of houseless population in any region? That is one of the indicator of that to identify the regional development. Next aspect, that is how the gender study can be done with the population geography. In general, gender disparity in education are higher at the level of adult education than the children. Gender, no doubt there is a gender disparity in education, but it is not much at children for the children, but it is for the adult education. We can calculate the gender disparity index, literacy gender disparity index, It is nothing but the female literacy rate divided by the male literacy rate. There are another methods to study the gender disparity index. These are the coefficient of the equality, Sofer's index of disparity, coefficient of the variation, and Gini's coefficient. These indicators or these methods can be applied by the researcher to study the gender aspects of the population and educational development. Gender empowerment measures, gender development index, and there are very much methodologies and important methodologies given in the website www.educationforallindia.com, and these methodologies and data can use to study the various aspects of the education and gender study. Another aspect that is one can address on the scheduled population, that is scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. We can compare with the non-scheduled population. What is the status of scheduled population and what is the status of the non-scheduled population? That should be compared. This kind of the comparative study of the demographic indicators is a good consideration of the society, and who are excluded in the process of development that can be identified. Status of education among the scheduled tribe can be studied. Status of the health, family welfare, household status of the scheduled tribe, that should be focused. Then the slum population. Slum is nothing but the informal settlement within the cities, and they are usually overcrowded. And there are various data sources to study the slum. Survey and report and record by the municipal authority, National Sample Survey Office, NSSO, survey on slum condition of India, housing stock, amenities and assets in slums. These are the important secondary sources of the data. Census of India also gives the data on a slum population separately. We can apply the methods combining the satellite and survey data to study the slum. So this is also one of the important aspects. These are the references used by me, and I am very much thankful to Dr. Sardar Patil to give me an opportunity to sharing my views. This is one kind of the little knowledge have been shared with you, and I am very much thankful to him to an opportunity, and you may ask and discuss on these demographic aspects with me. Dr. Patil, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your delightful session. Really, you covered all the aspects of population. And population is one of the important parameters related to geography, because we can analyze with spatio-temporal context, and that can be used in the process of decision making. This is the positive aspects of geography. Uh, Initially, I would like to call to participants that if you have any queries, any doubts, or if you require any further clarification, please feel free to ask Dr. Kore sir, and definitely he will answer the questions. Please. In chat box. So I think there will not be further questions.
Yes.
Before going to conclude the session, I would like to appeal to all the participants, kindly focus on research of population geography uh, by considering all other branches. But, it means sometimes the population has the correlation with geomorphology, even it may has correlation with climatology, tourism geography, and it is our responsibility that we can collaborate all these branches, and then only our research will be more fruitful. Another thing is that nowadays government is organizing uh, sessions for data collection, that is census.
Yes.
Yeah, that is census. But what am I thinking? If we are able to map the population considering all the aspects, I mean, if we are able to map the population on day-to-day basis, then it will not be a need to
Yes.
conduct a census survey, because every day the data of birth date, then death rate, and birth rate, death rate, migration, if this data is made available to a central server, it may be a central government of India, it may be a census of India, then it may not be necessary to spend some amount for the collection of census. So in that connection, if we are able to create any model using GIS, that will be more better. And you, the young geographer, this is the responsibility of all young geographers to focus on research of population geography in this context. At the last, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to Dr. Abhijit Pore sir. Sir, thank you very much for sharing your valuable time and providing resourceful deliberations for the participants, and I am sure that your deliberations will be beneficial for the researchers.
Thank you.
Also, thank you, sir.